Welcome to the Chuck Shoot Podcast. I'm very excited. I have actually a live human being in here today. Usually I'm doing call-in for my guests. This guest actually said, no, I'll come in and I'll be there in studio, in person. So it's very exciting. It's comedian Sidney Smith, and I'm going to tell you the backstory of kind of how I got this guest on here. So we actually went to go see Adam Conover from the show Adam Ruins Everything. Funny guy. But I noticed the comedian before him, and this is no offense to Adam Conover, but the guy before him I was laughing harder at his jokes than Adam's jokes. And so I thought after the show, I was like, I got to go talk to this Sidney guy and I got to see if he wants to do my podcast. And the funny thing was, like, he was skeptical at first. He was asking me, like, what's your podcast about? Like, he wasn't like, usually people are like, oh, okay, sure. And then, then they maybe blow me off later. But right away, he was like skeptical. And I think that's part of what drew me to him too, because I could tell he thinks differently, and you'll see today how funny he is and how he kind of thinks differently. I think that's why I like him. So let me introduce Sidney Smith. Sidney, how you doing?
What's going on, Chuck, man?
Good.
Hey, bro, you just can't be a white dude walking up to black people inviting them places. That's what you can't do that, man.
I guess not. Yeah, I know. It's like so funny. But you were telling me right before we started that the reason that you were a little skeptical is because you've had some strange offers. Can you tell me more about that people have asked you to do their podcasts or shows?
Normally I get some weird shit, and it's always someone want me to do a podcast, and I show up and they got a Fisher Price tape recorder or some weird shit like that. It's not like you got a legit studio here, man. This is legit. Or I get the dude who comes up asking me, do I know where he can get some weed? So, and anybody who knows me knows I don't smoke. So I'm always like, why would you even ask me that question? You get a lot of potheads around you.
Okay, yeah, well, a lot of stand-up comedians smoke weed. In fact, it's legal in California, Washington, Nevada. So this is like one of the few states it isn't. So have you never done it?
Nope, it's not my thing.
Okay.
Not my thing. I'm a control freak, man.
I kind of got a little bit of a sense of that from your stand-up and doing some research. But so tell me about, you grew up in, how do you even say this name? Is it Capac?
Capac, you
Capac,
got it.
Michigan.
Capac.
Yeah, it's about an hour from Detroit. And what was that like?
It was quite a culture shock, growing up. Living in Detroit for the first half of my childhood, never was around so many Caucasian people. And honestly, God, never had been around so many Caucasian people, especially when I was going to be the only black person in that room. But my mother moving us out to Capac was a great thing. But yeah, we were the only black family there. And
the only black family in the entire town of Capac?
Oh yeah.
Wow.
So, I was the only black kid to graduate with my high school class and my siblings and so on and so forth. So,
okay. That's interesting. That sounds like I had the opposite experience because I grew up in this little town called Issaquah in Washington, and we had one black kid in my whole neighborhood that went to and I think he was the only one in our whole high school of like 2,000 people. And so but he was a nice guy, like just,
Oh man.
So that's my experience.
Well, I don't know if it's really your experience. I think it's more of his experience. You see what Caucasian people do, man? You try to take, what's my man's name? Do you remember his name?
RJ.
Okay. You try to take
RJ Brown.
Of course, RJ Brown. This whole story's false. Whole story's false. RJ Brown.
I swear to God.
Only way this gets worse is his fucking name was fucking George Washington Black. That's the only way this story gets worse. RJ Brown.
God, you're making me laugh, dude. All right, so going back to Detroit, are you a Detroit? You are a Detroit sports fan, right? Lions, Tigers, Pistons.
I root and cry for them all.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Were you a Barry Sanders fan? I was a Barry Sanders fan, and I'm not even a Detroit fan. So.
Oh, man, we were all Barry Sanders fans, and a lot of us, we felt his pain when he retired.
Yeah.
That was the only dude who ever quit on Detroit, and we weren't upset by it. We were like, I get it.
Yeah, what about Calvin Johnson? Were you upset when he quit?
I wasn't upset either. Again,
two freakish athletes.
It's like watching two people who are married, and you want to love both of them, but you know one who's really pulling the weight in the marriage. So when that person says, I'm out, I get it.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, so you got the sports in Detroit. Now, tell me about your comedy influences growing up. Like, what were your favorite movies, TV shows, stand-up comedians?
You know what? Oddly enough, some of my favorite stuff growing up, I'm going to date myself here a little bit, even though I'd never tell anyone my age, but there weren't much black shows to The Cosby Show for the most part. I mean, you had Good Times and What's Happening and things like that from the 70s that were being done as syndication. But my early influences when it came to TV and comedy was Family Ties and things like that. Like
I love that show.
Yeah. Like I fell in love with like Michael J. Fox way back then, and all the way to the point where I wanted the sports coat with the suede elbow patches, and that
Awesome.
type of thing. Yeah. So I was a little bit of a nerd when I was a kid. So I was into the Republican Party, and I remember being a kid sitting there watching the Iran-Contra scandal, and my mother's friends sitting there just staring at me with just like, what the fuck is wrong with this kid? Don't you want to go outside and play? And I'm like, shh, I'm trying to hear Ollie. He's testifying right now. So
Gotcha. Okay. So but I mean, in terms of I know you said Eddie Murphy, was that the first stand-up comedy special that you saw, or?
That's the first one that I can really recall, was that one. I mean, Eddie Murphy was everybody's comedic hero then as a kid. I mean, who else was more popular? I mean, Pryor was kind of on the downside of it.
Yeah.
Bill wasn't doing stand-up like that at that point in time. And so Eddie was the king. Eddie was the guy.
Gotcha.
Even if you never wanted to be a stand-up comic, that was the guy I think that everybody kind of...
Yeah, no, he was like, Delirious. I mean, that's the first one. That was the best. Raw was good too, but that Delirious special. I mean, it's like he's just hitting on all cylinders on that.
It's crazy because I just watched him talk about it on Jerry Seinfeld's show.
Yeah,
Comedians in Cars.
Yeah, you watch that show too?
Yeah,
you should get on there.
One day.
Yeah, let's do it.
I love it. He says you should get on there. Call him up.
Yeah,
and get
just
me
call
on.
him up and tell him.
But I love what he says. He says, and I never thought about it, I guess, but he says Delirious was his favorite.
Yeah,
because he feels like he could do that same material right now, and it would hold up.
That's true. Now. Yeah, and he is having a new, as we talked about before, he has a new special coming out, which we don't. Is it 50 or 80 million? He's getting a lot of money from Netflix, money. So I hope it's good. Like some of his movies have not been the greatest, but
you can't hit.
Yeah, lightning in a bottle every time.
Not every time. Not every time.
So when did you start doing stand up then?
About 10 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I think were you friends with just Jason Campbell? Does that name ring a bell?
Does not.
Okay.
Is he friends with R.J. Brown? Is that R.J.?
No. He was like there was like a few. So there was when I first moved here, I was going because I think we were like still Facebook friends when I went. And to message you, I was like, oh, I'm actually friends with this guy. Because I think I had friended a bunch of comedians when I first moved here. I was like, oh, I like following comedians and stuff. And so, yeah, I think that, because I moved here about 10 years ago. So it must have been right when you started.
Jason Campbell, is he related to Calais Campbell by chance at all?
No. He was a guy who did a little bit of stand-up. We actually both tried out for, what was that show? Is it Last Comic Standing or whatever?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we both tried. I met him there, but he actually lived in Arizona. And he was friends with like Reggie, Reggie, what's his name? I think he's a comedian too. I don't know. There's like a few local
Reggie
guys.
Campbell.
Yeah. But they're not related.
But Reggie's back out in Vegas now.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So there was like a few of you guys that I was like, oh, these guys are funny. And what's the other? CJ Hariza? Do you know that name?
I remember CJ from way back when I first started.
He used to host like the open mics and stuff. He's a real nice guy.
Yep, nice kid.
Anyway, so 10 years ago, so you started doing it. And so how's the process? Have you grown? I mean, obviously you've grown a lot since then, right? With your comedy and such.
I feel like I have. People who I trust and ask. I have a couple of mentors here in the area, and my big brother Warren B. and my other comedy brother Dion. Those are my cats that I lean on to make sure that I am progressing and make sure I don't become a hack.
Yeah, that's always good.
But you can always go back and read the jokes you're writing before and look at old and listen to old tape, and you're like, holy shit, I'm getting pretty good at this.
Yeah. So like the first time you went up though, did you bomb?
No, because you know what? Every comic, if you're smart and whoever's promoting the show, if they're smart, when you first started out, they're going to tell you, bring a bunch of people out, because there's no point in a promoter putting you on for the first time if you're not going to bring some asses to put in seats.
Right. No, exactly.
And for a new comic, you want some asses in seats to give you that confidence. So no, the first time I did it, I did really well. I did well enough to I just fell in love with it. Now there was a lot of bombing after though.
Right. So that you remember the first time you bombed, you're like, oh gosh, I should give up, or how did you get through that?
I never ever felt like I should give up, but I do remember the first time I bombed. I was about 6 months in.
Okay.
And like every comic, you're 6 months in, you think, oh, it's only another 6 months before I'm the next Eddie Murphy. I've got this.
Yeah.
And I just got smashed before a show, it was bad.
Gotcha.
And it was so bad that when I got up on stage, I was giving the punchlines before I was giving the premise and the setup. And by the time my 7 minutes was up, my head was down, and I was reading the jokes straight out of my notebook because I couldn't remember shit.
Oh, shit. Okay. So you basically bombed yourself. Like, it wasn't that you did the material and people didn't like it. It's just that you screwed up the material because you were drunk or whatever.
Bombing should always feel personal. So I don't. So I don't care how it happens. It was bomb.
Sure,
it was a
sure.
bombing, and I learned a valuable lesson from that. That's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So you got back up, and then so I don't know if this was kind of one of the first famous people that you had worked with, but I know in 2015 you literally shared a stage with Sinbad. So because like when people say share the stage, it's like, oh, you opened and then he went on, but you guys actually kind of did this thing. I just saw a clip of it, but you were actually on the stage together. Tell me about that.
One of my mentors here, he's like a dad to me. I have a couple of mentors who are like dads to me, T.A. Burrows and Jerry Johnson. Shout out to them. But T.A. is very good friends with Sinbad. They go back many, many years. And so whenever Sinbad's in town, he always shoots T.A. Some tickets, and they speak and so on and so forth. And they speak, more often as well. But he wanted me to go down and see this man work, and I'd never seen Sinbad live. And I got to tell you, for anyone who hears this, if you've never seen him, if he's coming to town, it's worth the money. This dude came out and destroys for 25 or 30 minutes of just pure crowd work. And then he goes into doing his hour-plus set. So he by himself is worth the ticket. But he pulled up my mentor, T.A., onto the stage, and they got to talking a little bit. And then I did not know this, but T.A. had spoken about me to him. And my name came up on the stage, and he asked if I was there. And I was like, yeah. I was like a fat white woman on Price is Right. Like, I'm right here. And he said, come up here. So I went up, and he said, think you're funny? I said, absolutely. He said, well, let's see. And he gave me a couple of minutes, and never looked back since.
And the crowd loved it? You didn't bomb that time, right?
No, got up there, did my thing, man. People were laughing. People remembered me when I was walking through the casino, Wild Horse Pass, and was shaking my hand and saying I did a great job. So
awesome.
So it was good. And I think you probably read it on my website, but the knowledge he gave me back in the green room was just tremendous as well. So.
Absolutely. So, and then obviously in 2019, this year, I just saw you open up for Adam Conover. One thing I was going to ask you about, though, so he's the Adam Conover from Adam Ruins Everything, and he did this whole bit about the Nike symbol, and I mean, he goes in these deep, like kind of like rabbit holes, and he starts talking about how it's like almost basically like brainwashing with the Nike symbol. But I noticed that this was the second night, so you must have heard the set, but the second night you're wearing a Nike shirt. Was that on purpose, or?
Oh, I'm always in Nike. I'm in Nike now. I'm in a Nike Air Max T right now.
But were you trolling him a little bit with wearing the Nike swoosh symbol? Okay.
Not at all. Not at all. You know what? I just always have it on. My first tattoo, part of it is a Nike swoosh.
Okay, yeah.
So I just
thought that'd be funny if it was. Did you get to meet him, by the way? Or was he, because he didn't meet the fans afterwards, but you were backstage, so you get to.
Yeah, in the green room, all the comics hang out. I've never had it. I've heard stories, but I've never yet worked with a headliner yet where they just wanted the green room to themselves. Okay. So normally, yeah, we're all back in the back eating, talking about the business, depending on who you're working with. Adam was very, very chill.
Cool.
Very, very supportive. Helped me get over some frustrations I was having actually at that time with my own career, and helped me stay focused on a particular path. So he was a very, very nice guy.
So how did you get the spot to open up for him? Like, did he pick you out, or does the club owner pick you out, or how did you?
Grinding, man, grinding. So I said I've been doing this for 10 years, but you do it for 10 years doing open mics and doing this show and that show and bar shows and so on and so forth. And, one day you get passed at a club. So I got passed a few years ago at Stand Up Live, and Stand Up Live's on CB Live. They also own Tempe Improv, and now I have my own show there, and I work all those clubs.
Okay, so they just like say, hey, we need this, we need you on this one, we need you on that one. And okay.
Yeah.
So tell me about some of the other comedians that you've opened for. I know Whitney Cummings. What was that? She's like recently in the news because she had something where she posted a picture, and I guess her nipple was showing. And so then these people, and then she deleted the picture, but there was already some people that had screenshotted it. Yeah. So then they message her, and they're like, you better give us $1 million or we're going to and then she goes, okay, screw you. And if you're going to post it, I'm going to post it. So she posted it. And so then all these comedians started posting like embarrassing pictures of themselves. And, do you hear about that?
Yeah, I follow Whitney on Instagram.
Yeah,
and I have a huge, huge crush on Whitney Cummings.
Oh.
I mean.
So you see the nipple then?
Hey, man. Hey. She's awesome. She's very, very nice.
Yeah.
What I love about Whitney, foremost though, and I listen to this podcast, not to shout out another podcast on your podcast.
No, that's fine.
But Barry Katz, Industry Standard.
Okay.
And they always talk about being prepared for when your break comes. And they talk about Whitney as the greatest example of already having her shit together. So when her opportunity came, she had something else. As a comic, at least for myself, I know what I want to have down the road with my career. That's why I'm constantly writing, constantly creating. Even if you don't see it, it's on a shelf someplace. And that's the way they say you should work it, as if you're building a bookshelf and adding things onto it. So when you come up and someone sees you, you're ready to go. Okay, you're funny. We love that stand-up, but what else do you have? Do you have any TV show ideas? Do you have any book ideas, any movie ideas, so on and so forth? And Whitney's just a great, great example of that. Not to mention when she came into the green room of the, the comedy store. Man, I was, man.
Oh, so would you open for her? That was in LA at the Comedy Store?
That was in LA. I've done the Comedy Store, the main room, out there 3 times.
Okay, so that's the guy I was telling you about earlier, the He-Man War. He's a regular at the Comedy Store.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you go there, you might see him next time. But so that reminds me, it's funny just what you said about having to have all these different, writing TV shows and all this and different kinds of things. It reminds me of the Mitch Hedberg. Are you a fan of Mitch Hedberg at all?
I am. I don't know all of his material, but I'm a fan of his.
But he has that one joke where he says like, hey, so you're a comedian, can you act? He's like, that's like going up to a chef and saying, hey, you're a chef, you can cook, but can you farm? Or have you heard that one?
I have not, but that is, but it's the world we live in, man.
Yeah,
it's the world we live in,
Right.
Unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how you look at it. I think it's fortunate. It's a business.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because you can only take stand-up so far. I mean, I guess unless you're Kevin Hart or whatever and you're selling out arenas, like, I mean, stand-up can only go so far. And it's like, yeah, you want to make more money and get more exposure. Ends. Yeah, exactly.
Even that ends. But it also, you have to look at it from a standpoint, how marketable, how much money can someone else make off of you as well? Because no one's coming to come sign you.
It's not a charity.
Right. They're not coming to sign you because they just want to be buddies.
Want to help you out. Yeah, exactly.
That does not exist.
Yeah. So, and then Russell Peters, you shared a stage with him.
Hella nice guy.
Yeah. Where'd you open up for him for?
Stand Up Live.
Stand Up Live, okay.
And it was more of a guest spot. I would say more of a guest spot as opposed to opening. But Russell is probably the only person who ever made me lie. It was very, very weird.
Made you lie?
Yeah, man. Yeah.
How so?
A few years back, I went out to LA for a red carpet birthday party for an old friend, a former friend, I should say. And Russell Peters is there. And I took a couple of friends out with me. And they're huge Russell Peters fans. And they're running over, hey, man, Russell's here. I said, okay, well, I'm trying to play cool, even though I'm a Russell Peters fan. I'll see him when I see him, whatever.
Yeah.
And we finally did end up in the same room. He's looking at me, and I'm looking at him, looking at me, looking at him. And we walk up to each other. And I say, hey, I'm Sidney Smith. He says, I know who you are. I said, you do? He goes, yeah. He said, we've met. I said, I don't think so. He said, no, we've met. And I think I would remember if I met Russell Peters is what I'm thinking.
Yeah, exactly.
And Johnny Sanchez, mutual friend of both of ours, walks past. Say, hey, Johnny, how do I know this guy? He said, Sidney Smith, comic out of Phoenix, hilarious guy. He said, I knew it. I knew I knew you. I said, okay, well, it's good to see you again.
So he was just fucking with you, basically.
No. Russell's known for having this great memory. But this time it was a little faulty. But I lied and went with it. And said, yeah, man, it's great to see you again.
Yeah.
So when he came into town to Stand Up Live, it was a couple years later. And I said, let me go down and see if he'll remember me.
Yeah.
And I went down, I waited for him after the show, waited for all of his fans to kind of stop taking pictures and so on and so forth. And I walk over and I say, hey, I'm not sure if you remember me. He shakes my hand, he pulls me in. He says, I remember you. And I remember you from the time I met you before, too.
Holy shit. Dude, that guy's got a memory then.
It's a pretty good one. But
yeah, because he probably meets how many people a day per show? I mean, it's got to be... How would you remember that many people? That's insane.
Yeah, man, I don't know. I don't know. He does have great... And one of the nicest fucking guys, and gave some great advice as well, hanging out in the green.
Yeah.
It was just something to see because he travels with so many comics when he comes into town. So he'll come in, he'll bring his own feature, but he's got 3 or 4 other comics he brings with him.
Okay.
And what he does is for each show, okay, you're gonna go on, you're gonna go on, you're gonna go on, and then the next show he may change the
lineup,
change it up, and just wants to make sure everybody gets a chance to be on that stage because he sells out like crazy.
That's cool that he's helping people out.
Awesome guy.
So another guy that you have shared a stage with, I'm a big fan. I love David Spade. And so tell me about working with him. That must have been cool. Are you a fan of him?
Another nice fucking guy.
Yeah, he's from Arizona too, right?
He is from Arizona. Yeah. Comedy Store again. And it was great that when I saw he was going to be on the lineup, and I said, this is going to be awesome because I was just kicking off my sketch comedy show down at Stand Up Live, which you can see at Stand Up Live. Next one should be coming up in October.
Awesome.
But really nice guy. I went out. I was hosting the show. Let me see if I can set the scene here. So when you're there at the Comedy Store, you really don't want to get in the way. I feel like I'm as funny as everybody else back there, but I'm not as accomplished. They all know each other. So when you got David Spade, Whitney Cummings, Pete Holmes, Judd Apatow, all these guys hanging out, I'm just trying to see what I can hear as opposed to just talking and trying to interject into someone's conversation.
Sure.
So
is there a green room in that Comedy Store? Because there's three different. There's original room, main room, and
legendary.
It's got to be a pretty big green room, huh?
Legendary green room back there. I told my wife not to sit on anything. Don't lean back.
Oh, she got to go back too?
Yeah. She went back and checked it out. But David Spade, really, really nice guy. And so I was talking to him. He's getting ready to leave out the back door. And I stopped him and said, hey, I know you're getting ready to go, but I want to ask you a question. I'm starting this comedy sketch show at Stand Up Live. I have question A, B, and C. Would you mind? He said, absolutely. So he stopped and gave me some advice. I forget who was on stage, finished up. I had to go back out, bring out the next comic, and I thought, shit, he's going to be gone. I won't get... Came back from introducing the next comic. He stayed there to finish our conversation and finish giving me the tips and give me some behind the scenes stuff of Saturday Night Live. So he was hella nice guy.
Awesome. So what you got? Can you share any of this secret advice, or is this like kind of insider trading kind of stuff?
You know what? I'm very competitive, so I won't share it. I'll share it off air.
Oh, okay, cool.
I'll share it off air. I'll share it off air.
Cool. All right. And so then finally, the other one that I saw on your website that you shared a stage was Judd Apatow, which I'm not really sure if he's known as much for his stand-up, but he's definitely known for all his movies, like Knocked Up and a million. I'm not drawing a blank right now, but Knocked Up was the big one, and there's like a whole bunch of them.
Was it? No.
This is 40.
Yeah,
and, what was the other big one right after Knocked Up? There was another one.
This is crazy. I can't be. If Judd hears this, cast me as something anyway. I'm sorry, I cannot remember your entire bio.
No, I'll check out his IMDb later, and I'm gonna go, I'm an idiot. But no, he's done so much stuff. I even like the one that he did that was about stand-up with Adam Sandler. And I'm forgetting the name of that too, but yeah, that was good. So he does stand-up. Was this before the movie stuff, or he does this in addition to the movie stuff?
Well, when he started out as stand-up.
Right.
Yeah. So that went so many years ago.
Yeah.
But he was out working out material for his Netflix special that he had dropped, that was dropping shortly after.
He did a stand-up Netflix special?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even see that. Okay, I'll check. Is it good?
It's not too bad.
Yeah.
It's not too bad. Who am I to knock? It's Judd Apatow. He got a big check from Netflix too. So,
So he was working it out, and so
he had his notebook and everything, and he was out there working material. I think he did all three rooms that night. He bounced around doing all three rooms that night. And you'll see something like Joe Rogan's notorious for that, jumping around doing all the rooms. So,
okay.
Yeah. So
it's very cool. So do you go to the Comedy Store a lot? Like you make a little road trip up there, or
I have not been there in quite some time. I should say in a few months. I shouldn't say quite some time. That sounds like 10 fucking years. But that's my favorite place to go. Even if I'm not doing time, I just love that place. I tell anybody who goes to LA, if you're a comedy fan.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, because we went and we saw we went to see the guy Fahim that I followed since like forever, and he's starting to get big. But also Joe Rogan got up on stage, and then I don't know if you know who Brian Poussin is, but he was I was going to the bathroom, and I'm like, that's the guy he's like on Big Bang Theory, like he's on all these different shows, and his stand-up special, and like he's like just standing there right there, and I was like, I kind of wanted to like ask for a picture, but I thought it's kind of like he's probably going to be like like annoyed. And then Fahim told me later, he's like, no, everybody's cool. You can get a picture and stuff. I was like, damn it.
It's really chill. I tell people this Comedy Store for me is like any other club I've been to up to this point, because you don't know who you're going to see. Like you were saying,
see so many big names,
and they're just hanging out.
Yeah.
Except for maybe a couple of cats. Like I haven't seen them yet, but I've heard Rock and Chappelle kind of stay to themselves a little bit.
I mean, they're like, because they're so, I mean, they would just get mobbed, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I was standing there having a beer on the patio one day, there's Jeff Ross standing there, and I'm like,
yeah, he was there when I was there too. Yeah,
I said, man, he's taller than I thought he was.
Yeah.
I didn't think he was that tall.
he was. I think he did like what you did earlier when he got drunk and he went up there and I was like, this is the least funny I've ever. He's really usually really funny, but I think he was a little hammered, and so it wasn't the greatest, but he's still funny.
Hey,
But
man, we all work to get to that point to where we're always funny.
It
We
doesn't
have movies,
matter,
we got
yeah.
TV shows.
Yeah, you can
I
bomb
get
a little, and
smashed
who
and go
cares?
up here,
Yeah.
and you know what? You're fucking gonna laugh
yeah,
anyway
because it's Sidney Smith, and you're like, I don't care. It's Sidney Smith. I got to see Sidney Smith. I don't even if he bombs, it's better than seeing Joe Blow who doesn't know.
I'm waiting to be able to pull a Dave Chappelle where I can just kind of walk up and just do half a day on stage and no one cares. I can just do 3, 4, 6 hours.
Yeah, did he do like both those specials? Was that wasn't all in one day, was it?
No. I don't know if he did that all in one day. I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure he didn't because there was 2 different locations. But he's known to show up at the store or show up
And
at the
just
cellar.
do 3 hours?
Yeah, get up on stage. If you YouTube, you'll find sets of he and Rock on stage for 2-3 hours.
Are you a Chris Rock fan?
That's my hero.
Oh god, he's so funny.
That is my idol. that is my guy.
Does he still perform stand up as much? I haven't seen him touring as much. Like I feel like have you ever seen him live?
I have not had the pleasure of seeing him live. He was on tour for the longest time to set up for his Netflix special.
Yeah.
So
Does he have another one coming out?
no, nothing that I've heard of, and I don't think he's on tour. I was just on his site. I didn't see any dates.
Yeah.
So I don't know what he's doing right now.
God, he's so clever and his material is so good. Because there's some comedians that I feel like they rely a lot on delivery and not as much on material. But his material is really good and his delivery is really good. He's got both.
Right. Yep,
That's really
absolutely.
cool. So who are some of your other favorite comedians out there now? Maybe people locally and then on the national stage that you follow?
Locally, I like some of the younger folks who are coming up doing their thing right now. Josh Harrison, he's a funny young guy. Dana Whitson, I just love her stuff. Trevor Skies, I love his stuff as well. Those are a few of the young people that I like right now. And when I say young people, not necessarily in age, just in time. Especially, I just told Dana this, or actually I said this to the crowd. I did the lounge, working out some stuff not too long ago, and they were both on the show. It takes such courage to kind of stay in what you're doing, regardless of what's happening in that room. And that's why I love Dana Whitson so much and Trevor Skies, because they have these big personalities, these characters that they do. And they're so brave with the way that they do them. Again, regardless of what's going on, they never break that. And you do this long enough, you can tell whether a comic does a character or not, whether they have that type of bravado to keep it going, or they just bail and just pull the ripcord. Say, okay, I'm bailing out of this.
Of the character, you're saying?
Yeah. Or out of the bit, out of whatever. But these guys not only have bits, but they have these characters that they do along with the bits.
Yeah.
That you have to stay in because they go together.
Yeah. Do you do any characters or voices?
No. I mean,
Do you do like I love like when Eddie Murphy would do like, and I don't know what, maybe I'm weird, like, but I'm not offended by this. I think it's hilarious when black comedians do like a white guy voice. Do you do like a white guy voice?
That is so 90s. No.
Is it really?
That is so. That is. If Eddie, you ever please don't do any white people voices when you do this net. That is so
when
nice.
it's Delirious special when he started doing like the white guy voice. I mean, well, yeah, you're right because it's hacky now.
It is.
You're right.
Right now.
You're right.
I mean, so yeah, but then it was fucking hilarious.
So funny, like when he would do that, and Dave Chappelle does it too, though, and it's.
I mean, and when Martin did it on his first special,
You So Crazy.
You So Crazy, and he does the voice, and then he does it again in Bad Boys. This is your new neighbor. Just come over to borrow some brown sugar. That is so. I can't do it.
No, that's actually one thing I appreciated about your act is like you didn't, because some comedians like they rely on that too much. You know, they'll just like they'll play that thing out. And I'm like, okay, like I've heard it so many times.
Absolutely.
It's like so like you came out in there and you were saying we're gonna get to your material, but your material was like. Your sense of it, I was like, wait, he can't say that. I was like, and then I'm like, but I'm laughing. And I'm like, it's funny though. I like it. And then, so it was awesome. But
I love it. I can't wait to hear what I said that made you say you can't say that.
Yeah, well, yeah, I think I messaged, but yeah, anyways, let's move on. Sorry, I'm stumped a little bit. Sidney Smith show. So you started doing that YouTube thing. Is that what it's called? Just the Sidney Smith show, the YouTube sketch?
Yes.
Yeah.
The Sidney Smith show. That is the sketch show along with stand up.
Yeah. Are you still doing that?
I am. So
Okay.
I took the last couple of them to try to record my CD. So we didn't. So we didn't get together. Excuse me, and write and shoot any sketches over the last couple of shows. But we're going to get back to that.
One of the lines that made me laugh really hard was in the You have a sketch called Fat Jesus.
And which I did not write that one.
Oh, you didn't write that one. Okay.
I didn't. I mean, Josh Luna, who plays Fat Jesus in the sketch, he came up with the premise. The idea came with it, and then we sit down, we do a table read, and then we do some little rewrites. But that's Josh's.
You had a good line. Your line, and I don't know. Did he write this one or did you? Because it said you're like, I'm looking for the Lamb of God, not the calf of God. That was funny.
He wrote that.
Okay, that was good. You delivered it well, though.
Hey man, that was a hot fucking day. So
what about look, because you was outside. Yeah. What about the one where it was like, I'm trying to remember how it went. It was like there's like KKK members, but the one guy is like secretly like loves black culture, and you're like the what is it? Kind of like his like imaginary black guy friend or something.
So
the voice in his head that's like
right. So I'm the black guy in every racist guy's head. And so I go around and I'm outing, the racist guy to his people,
right?
Letting them, revealing that he really likes black shit. So, because look, man, I have yet to meet a dude who says he doesn't like something, but he'll take parts of that culture,
right,
and enjoy it. I don't like black people, but I'll fuck some black pussy, that type of thing.
Or like, how about, okay, if you're racist, so then what, you're not going to watch like football and stuff? Like, cause there's black people in football. So like, how do you, it's gotta be like really hard to really stick to that 100%.
You're right, because I have more respect for the racist guy who lives in a tent up in the fucking mountains around no one.
Cause they're doing what they, practicing what they preach.
Not the dude, like you said, I don't like black people, but I like my Cowboys. We got to get we got to get Zeke that paycheck. But
yeah, it's like what?
Fuck them niggers over there next door. So.
Oh God! All right, so you do have some new sketches maybe planned for the YouTube show then?
I do.
Okay,
I do.
cool.
I'm writing stuff down. Man, if you could see my office, which I still need to put together, for my wife murders me and takes the insurance money, but I got so much shit, man. Jokes and sketches and just so much stuff.
That's awesome. That's the way to do it. Is this your full time? Are you doing comedy full time, or do you have to do some stuff on the side to kind of keep ends meet? Or
no, full time.
That's awesome.
Yep, absolutely.
Very cool. So you had an old podcast, but it looked like I think the last episode was like 2017. But now you have a new one planned. And by the way, I love the name of this. It's called A Whoreable Night, and people go, "What, a horrible night? What's so great about that?" But it's the way that you spelled horrible is like. It's like a horror, like a girl that takes money for sex, and you spelled it Whoreable Night. So tell me about this new podcast. I haven't heard any episodes because it's not technically out yet, right?
It is not out yet. Yeah. Still trying. I want a co-host. I still need a good co-host. I normally don't talk about shit until I do it, but I'll talk about it there since I have it on the damn website. It's where I'm going to bring on different comics, and we're going to talk about their best and worst nights of sex. Oh. And we're going to share those stories. And,
wow.
And we'll see where it goes from there.
That sounds really funny. Yeah. Especially if you have comedians.
Yeah, that's who I definitely want to have on. So it's just about trying to find the right mix of my co-host along with the right comedians and the right person to produce it as well, because I'm not quite sure I have the time to do it everything like I did with the last podcast.
Absolutely, yeah. No, so do you have any story? Are you going to save that for the podcast, or can you tell me any of your best and worst sex experiences here, or give us a preview?
Yeah, let me see. My best or worst. I'll give you one. I was 18 at the time, and I was dating an older woman.
How much older?
She was 22, 23.
Okay.
But she already had a couple of kids.
That's still pretty good. That's pretty good. Like, well, give you props for that.
In man to woman years, she was technically maybe, 10 years older than I was. She already had a couple of kids, been married, so on and so forth.
More mature, yeah.
But we decided we were going to get a hotel room, and we did. And
how'd you meet her, by the way?
We were both in the military, actually.
Oh, okay.
We were stationed
together.
together.
I didn't know you were in the military.
Yes,
okay.
yeah.
Which branch?
She was Army, I was Navy.
Okay. Well, thank you for your service.
Don't tell me that. I hate when people say that.
Why?
I'll tell you that after I tell you this story.
Okay.
If you remind me, I'll tell you. Yeah. But we went and got some Boone's Farm, some strawberry hill.
That's only the shit you drink when you're 18. Right. You will not drink when you turn 21. It's like if you order that at a bar, the bartender's gonna
I might do it tonight just as a fucking joke. Hey man, give me some Boone's Farm. Fuck you mean you ain't getting no Boone's Farm? What kind of bar is this? What kind of bullshit establishment is this? But yeah, anyway, so we're drinking some Boone's Farm, Strawberry Hill, and I had about a cup and a half, and we went to do, and I was putting in my best 18-year-old lower back movement.
Never heard it described that way. That's very creative.
And she was just laying there, and I'm like, well, what's the problem? You're not enjoying? I mean, what? Just, you're not in.
So wait, were you enjoying yourself, or were you just drunk enough that you didn't know what was going on?
Hey, man, that cup and a half of booze trying to fuck you up. Get with you.
How much did you weigh when you were 18? I mean, that cup and a half is like nothing.
What, 145?
Okay, yeah, you were like me, and you're probably like super skinny when you were.
I was tanked, man. What are you talking about? But I was working. I was putting that work in, and but it wasn't in. So it wasn't. I don't know what. It was.
Well, at least it wasn't the wrong hole. I mean, I've heard those stories too. So.
Was not the wrong hole.
So that's good.
With her, I'm gonna leave that alone.
All right. Well, let's see. Oh, I got some other questions. So besides, unless there's more on that.
No, that's fine. I just thought that was a terrible segue there, RJ Brown.
RJ Brown is a real person. I swear to God, I'm gonna find his Facebook after this if he has one.
I'm changing your name in my phone to RJ Brown.
He kind of was like the whitest black guy I've ever met.
Don't say that. Don't say that. Oh, now you got real racist.
That's racist?
Oh, that's terrible.
Why?
That's terrible. You can't go around telling black people you are the whitest black person I ever met. Because now you're stereotyping black people.
Am I?
There is no.
Well, you're the expert. I mean, I can't. Yeah, okay.
Well, you stole his story, so I guess you're the expert. You tell me.
Oh God, I want you to meet RJ Brown. Like, I really want to bring this guy over.
No, because I see
guest.
You got a split personality. I don't want to be anywhere around when RJ Brown comes up.
No, let's go back to what was the question about? I was going to say, so you don't like people when people say thank you for your service. Explain that.
Yeah, man, you just can't throw that around. I mean, you got to save that for the guys, the fucking GI Joes who go over.
Were you just like a cook in the Navy or something?
No, I was not, and I can't talk about what I did.
Oh,
but
did you kill people?
I was not a cook.
Okay.
But you got to say that for those guys who are over there doing it and who choose to go back again and again. You can't give it to a guy who was an office clerk. The difference between he and a dude at fucking Staples is the uniform. I mean, you can't get
that's true.
Thank you for your Staples.
What do they call those? Pogs, right? People other than grunt. Have you ever heard that term?
I have not.
Really?
Slim? Is that a term? Slim is ex-military as well. Slim, my bro is over here. You don't have to really talk. Just nod or shake. Yeah. Do you know that?
You heard that term, pog?
Okay.
Yeah, see, that's like...
No, I didn't know.
I didn't know that either, and then I saw somebody say it, and I asked my brother. My brother was in the Army, and he goes, oh, yeah, person other than grunt. It's like, that's what they call, like, the cooks and those kinds of...
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So, yeah, I just say we reserve it.
I guess I always have, like, a lot of respect for those people because I don't have the balls to do that, like, to even... Well, I mean, I guess I could be like a clerk or something. Yeah. That would be okay. But I mean, do we get to choose those things? Because when you sign up, I mean, couldn't they just tell you like, well, I know you wanted to be a clerk, but we're going to put you on the front line. So
they can, but you get to read that contract,
right?
I mean, you have to take a test. So if you don't do well on this test, you do get a choice of. They tell you somewhat of where you fall, which you may end up doing,
right?
So now there's an opportunity that if you do join up. And let's say you go in to do some specialty job and you can't pass the school or something like that. Yeah, you could get your ass tossed out onto the front lines or if in the Navy, out onto a ship, scraping paint. Yeah. But you do read a contract. You do have to sign that. And again, I just like to reserve that for the guys and the women out there who are active.
So if I meet somebody in the military now, I'm just going to be like, we're the same. We're equal.
You should probably actually.
You did 2 tours in Afghanistan. Well, that was different. In the past. Like, I went through college.
That is different. That is different.
Okay.
That's in Afghanistan. 2 tours.
So I can thank those because that's my brother. My brother did Afghanistan and Iraq.
You're right.
Yeah. So I can thank him for.
That's the motherfucker you think.
Okay.
You don't think.
Well, I don't know what you did. I guess I could. So I have to ask and say, did you do any tours? No. Okay. Well, then I'll walk away.
There's nothing wrong with looking for information. That's how. If dudes asked more information, we wouldn't end up with so many baby mamas and paying child support. You got to ask questions, investigate, figure shit out. Ask questions.
Yeah.
And where were you at? What were you doing?
Yeah.
Oh, you were over in Fort Gordon just ordering pencils? Okay.
Wait, go back to this baby mama thing. What do you mean asking questions? How do we avoid the baby? Like, you mean, are you saying like asking the woman if she's on birth control, that kind of thing? Or?
Finding out this bitch is crazy. That's what I'm talking about.
You can't ask a bitch if she's crazy, though. You have to figure it out.
You can ask the right questions to find out if she's
what
crazy.
are those questions? Let's teach the young people of our audience how to avoid.
You can't teach young people. They know everything already.
Yeah, that's true. Millennials. Yeah,
they already got it nailed down. But no, you just got to sit back. You got to do more listening than you do talking.
Yeah.
If you meet a female and she's just angry and she's talking about her ex constantly and what kind of asshole he is.
That's good advice.
That there is probably a fucking kicker. If she's got 2 kids and 2 different daddies, that right there is the fucking clue.
Yeah, that's a good clue.
I mean, does she fuck? Obviously, but but do you want to lay up in that? Probably not. Yeah. So just little things out there.
Yeah, and I think if like a girl's really possessive or jealous or like paranoid that you're cheating on her, usually she's the one that's paranoid, or she's cheating, or she's just crazy and she's psycho and obsessed with you. And
very, 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 very true. But ladies, any ladies, this advice goes the same way for you.
Oh yeah,
be aware of who you're dealing with when it comes to the fellas.
Absolutely, yeah. Well, we won't give the fellas secrets away, but
I don't mind, because I get tired of females coming over and asking me. I had a female come up to me after a show one time at Stand Up Live, and she was just so, I don't want to label her emotions, but she just wanted to talk to me about relationships. And she said, this is my first comedy show, and I came to laugh, and I thought you were funny, but man, you just made me think so much about relationships. And how do you know if a guy's a good guy, and just and so on and so on. It was.
Here's my only advice to ladies, and this is the problem I see. I actually I had this girl last night that I was talking to, but it seems like girls a lot of times they have very low standards with guys, or like they say they want like a good looking guy, and then they'll put up with so much shit because the guy's good looking and let him be treated like dirt. So I just say to women, and I was a counselor for 17 years, and I'd always tell this to kids that I worked with. I'd say, you deserve to be treated like a princess or a queen, and you should treat your boyfriend like a prince or a king or whatever. Like, so I mean, I think that's how people should treat each other in relationships.
I think one bit of advice I would give to anybody when it comes to relationships or life in general, but we're talking more specifically about relationships. And I told my own little sister this, and people only do to you what you allow them to do. Mm-hmm. And that's it. That's great advice. And I said, I mean, I can't make it any more cut, dry, and simple than that. People do to you what you allow them to do. Right, absolutely. And whether it's physical harm or whatever it may be. So yeah, that's good advice. So take care of yourselves. So, okay, let's move on to the, I wanted to ask you about, so besides the YouTube stuff, have you ever tried acting in terms of like trying out for commercials, TV, movies, any of that kind of thing? I did a stage play. Really? About a year ago. Okay. Called Legacy. Did that down at the Herberger for a week, and that was a great time. Is that here in the Phoenix? The Herberger Theater, absolutely. It's okay. Right downtown. I've heard of that. Okay. It's a great theater. I'd say check it out. Yeah. And, if you're into that kind of thing. I don't see a lot of theater, but I mean, I'm not opposed to it. I enjoy some play. I'm not a big musical guy, so I don't know. Was this one a musical or was it just a? No, this one dealt more with Thurgood Marshall and civil rights era and that time. But we have a great theater scene here. Yeah. Great theater scene. So I would definitely, if you're into that type of thing, I'd say definitely check it out. We got a million. I'm trying to be more cultured and get into like theater and that kind of stuff. Like my dad was really into opera and stuff. He loves Phantom of the Opera. That's like one of his favorite plays. I love musicals, so that'd be awesome. Yeah. Very cool. So, and then you mentioned in your act several times you talk about how you're a grown man. Do you feel like a lot of grown men out there still kind of act like children? Like, it seems like a lot of millennials, they don't have a job, they don't have a car, they play video games all day. Like, does that irritate you? Or Yes. Yes, get your shit together. No wonder she doesn't respect you. Yeah. Yes, it's not enough for that, but this is a whole rabbit hole I guess we can fall down. So yeah. Because I noticed that it must be a pet peeve for you, because I was like, I'm a grown, and I feel the same way. I feel like a lot of times when I hear like people will like on social media or even in person, people will threaten like, oh, I'm going to kick your ass. I'm like, it feels weird to me to see two grown men, physically fighting, but also even verbally hearing two grown adults arguing with each other. I saw this in the schools a lot, like with coworkers. Teachers and principals would be screaming it, or parents would be yelling at teachers. I'm like, it made me cringe so much to hear grown adults like yelling at each other. Like, I don't know if that's something that bothers you too, but I feel like once we get to be a grown up, like there's certain things that we should just put in our past. Like we just don't do that or rarely do that, but I'm not a whiner complainer. I mean, I have my things that upset me. I felt like I had a bad month as far as my career goes. But that's
You're on the Chuck Shoot podcast. This is the greatest month ever.
This is it.
Yeah, you've made it now.
But I don't like whining. I don't like complaining. I don't like grown men sulking. It's your life. Figure it out. Sit down. Say a prayer to God. Take it to whoever you need to take it to. If you're married, I don't know. Get with the fellas. Talk it out.
Yeah.
But yes, too much of that. Too much of the video games. At some point, you got to put children like tendencies down and be an adult and take care of your life and take care of those around you and move on and get going with shit.
Right. Take care of your own shit. Absolutely. So yeah, because I think life is sometimes a balance of work and play. And then, so I think my point was like with millennials, a lot of times, sometimes, not all millennials, obviously, but
Screw 'em.
What?
Screw 'em.
Yeah. Well, sometimes, and just people in general. I mean, I see people in their 40s and 50s who just, they play too much. Like, I know you were on a YouTube show about weed, but then you just said that you don't smoke weed, and you must drink because you had a story about drinking. Or do you have other vices that get in the way sometimes? Or what do you like to do for fun?
Nothing.
Nothing.
Honestly, nothing. I mean, I hang out with the guys. We hung out last night. I'm slightly hungover now. But that was more because I hadn't hung out with them in a while and because I just had an awful day. So I just wanted to get out, hang out with the fellas, have a couple of drinks with my bro over here, Slim and Mongo. And that's all that was about. But no, I don't. Every trip I take, I'm going home in October for my brother's wedding, stand up for my brother's wedding, and I'm doing a show there.
Oh, cool.
So
that's back in Detroit?
Yeah. So back in Michigan. So there are no vacations. There are no hobbies. There's nothing for fun.
This is it, because you love stand-up so much in the comedy. It's like it takes up most of your time.
I do love comedy, but I have a goal. I like to win. I'm highly competitive, so I keep score.
Awesome.
I know where I am with my career. I know where others are with theirs. And as much as I want to see friends of mine succeed, sometimes you see someone succeed and you're like, what the fuck is going on with my career right now?
So tell me, is that why you had a bad day, or why did you have a bad day yesterday?
Yeah, a bad month.
Bad month.
Yeah, it's been.
Because wasn't it this month that you opened up for Adam? I mean, that's a pretty good show.
I've worked with some awesome people, but sometimes you're sitting back and you're seeing where you are with yours, and you're grinding, you're trying to create, and you see some people that you're either acquaintances with or friends with, and they're getting this particular opportunity, and you're like, fuck, I wanted that opportunity.
Yeah.
Comedy is a weird thing. It's because you're on your own for the most part.
Yeah.
I mean, unless you have a crew of guys around you that you eventually try to build something with, but you're really on your own. And while you have friends, you root for them, but you want to be better than them at the same time.
Well, everyone's got that friend that like makes them feel better about themselves. That like
it's not even that. It's like, yeah. Hey man, nice job. I'm glad you got that acting job. And you walk away. That motherfucker, they should have gave it to me. Yeah. Good job. Good luck to that in LA. Yeah.
But like, if they're getting their careers progressing, that helps you too because you know them. So like, if they become the next Dave Chappelle and they're your friend, I mean, hopefully they're going to bring you up with them, right?
No, yeah, but that doesn't happen. I mean, if that happened, that would be happening. No,
could be.
Comics are very insecure. We're artists. We're very insecure people, generally speaking,
Sure.
So, no, if I'm making it, not me per se, but if I'm I'm making it, I'm not bringing you with me, especially if I have any insecurity that you're better than I am or just as good as I am. That doesn't happen.
But there's also people that would kill to be in your shoes and share a stage with all the comedians that you shared a stage with.
Absolutely. And there's somebody out there in Phoenix who thinks I should not have the opportunities that I have. So absolutely right. Absolutely right.
Okay.
They're wrong, but they are out there.
Right. Yeah, totally. So getting back to, you were saying earlier about your office. So I just want to kind of talk about your comedy writing process. Like when you write jokes, do you go into your office and sit down at a desk and brainstorm things, or are you out and about and then it just comes to you and you write it down on your phone and work it out later? Or is it a combination of both, or how do you do it?
So it can be a combination of different things, just depending on what my environment is at that time when I hear something. So I just thought of this bit yesterday about riding the bus and about how every kid should have to ride the bus, the public. And so I was with some friends when I came up with it, and we came up with it it came to me in this conversation we were having. So I kind of used that conversation to kind of work the bit and then see if there was anything there. And there was something there. And then I'll go and I'll jot it down on some sticky notes. and then I'll take it home, and it gets on the pegboard under my joke idea column.
Okay.
And then we'll go back and we'll work it, and we'll work it, and we'll work it.
Do you practice the jokes out loud in your office, like, or say it in front of a mirror, or record it with a video camera, or?
No, for me, what works best for me is positive reinforcement, and that's performing it on a stage in front of an audience in my head.
Okay.
And working it out that way, as opposed to standing up or in front of a mirror.
Yeah.
That's what works for me. And then from there, and I stole this from Chris Rock, so I can put this out there. I'll go to an open mic after I've written it down in long form and just read the words off the paper and see if there's anything funny to the audience there before I add anything to it.
Do you tend to, some of the comedians I've seen with the open mics, and I think that might be why some of the comedians I saw at Comedy Store were not on their game, because I think a lot of times with open mics, comedians try shit that they would never do in a regular show because they're being experimental and they're just going to try to see how far they can push the boundary.
Absolutely.
Do you do that kind of stuff in the open mics? Do you really try to push the boundaries and just say, like, see how far you can take it?
It'll depend on the open mic. It'll depend on the audience. It depends on the venue. So one of my favorite spots to go to right now, and there's a couple of them, but the Lounge. I love going to the Lounge.
Which one's the Lounge?
That is over on 7th Street in Dunlap, just north of Dunlap on 7th Street.
It's just called the Lounge.
It's next, right there next to Scramble, little breakfast spot.
Oh, I love Scramble.
Yeah, it's right next door to
Love that place.
But I'll go in there and I'll do what I said I would do, read stuff straight from the notebook, or I'll come in and I'll work out stuff that I've already worked out that I know that I'm just trying to change. I know it's kind of funny, but I'm trying to move some words around.
So wait, do you hold the notebook or you kind of put it on the stool and look at it? Or?
No, if I'll pick the notebook and read straight, I'll sit on the stool and read straight from the notebook to see if that material is getting any laughs at all.
Yeah.
Or I'll come in and maybe the show is not going that great that night because a lot of comics have went up just throwing shit against the wall. I always want to try to help to make sure that the audience leaves somewhat satisfied. And then maybe I'll go up there and give them 7 to 10 minutes of an actual show type material.
So when you read directly from, are all your jokes, it's kind of like you say things word for word.
Yeah.
Okay. So there's not any, you don't just, cause like, I've done some open mics and stuff and I would kind of just have like the idea in my head and then I would kind of flush it out but I wasn't exactly word. So that might actually make things easier though, kind of have word for word, and then you memorize it when it is a good joke that you like, right?
Well, it's going to be word for word to start out. That's just me wanting to see if the meat.
That makes sense.
If there's any meat on that bone.
Yeah.
Then from there, I'll move it around and you won't see that notebook again. And then I'll play around with it from there.
Cool.
And sometimes I like just to get up there and riff and just see if anything falls out of my head at all that I especially if I've been in a writing slump.
Yeah.
Let me just go out and jump up there and just make some shit up in front of people with no plan at all. And let's see what happens and record that.
So, okay, let's move on to some of the jokes that you did. So one of the jokes you had that where I was just kind of like I went like kind of taken aback, I think, because you said, you got up there and go, I don't care if you're racist. And I was like, wait, what? Like, did he just say I don't care if you're racist? And so I don't know if you want to do that joke or kind of explain what you were the point you were getting at, or I guess I don't want to give it away if people haven't heard it.
Right. Yeah. My whole point of it is, I have enough of these conversations already with people that I want to have those conversations with.
Right.
Like my bro Slim here, I keep referring to him, smart guy, one of the coolest guys I know, and we have some very deep conversations when it comes to race.
Really?
And he and I don't always see eye to eye on
Really?
it.
Can we talk a little bit about that here in terms of?
Yeah.
Okay.
What would you like to know?
What don't you guys see eye to eye on?
I guess if you threw a label on it, he would be probably a little more pro-black when it comes to race and racism. So
that makes you the anti-black, or
no? That makes me more of. I look at things the way I imagine Jay-Z looks at that NFL deal. Jay-Z would probably go down as the first black NFL owner because of what he just signed with the NFL.
I don't think I even heard about that. Wait, what?
He just signed on to become the social media ambassador, and he's also going to help craft music for the NFL, so on and so forth.
Dude, he's like is he a billionaire? I think he's a billionaire.
I do believe.
I was gonna say because I thought maybe he could buy a team, like if he really wanted.
No, you can have the money to buy a team.
Yeah,
but they
nobody
don't have
wants to sell it.
They don't have to let you buy the team.
Right. Yeah.
So you have to be in the good graces. And so a lot of black people took offense to that because they felt like he was slapping black people in the face, leaving Kaepernick and that whole situation behind, so on and so forth. I look at it differently. I saw it from a business standpoint that this man is doing what he said in the damn song. I'm not a businessman. I'm a businessman. And that's where he comes from. And that's how I look at a lot of these different things. I don't like to get caught up in race so much. Again, going back to my original way I was going to answer this, I can have those conversations with people that I respect on my own.
Sure.
I don't need to be bombarded with it or to bombard you with it. Because, one, you may not even be on the same level as far as I'm concerned intellectually to have this conversation with me. Or you just don't give a fuck anyway. Either way, I don't have to push it on you.
Right.
Which means I don't have to worry about it. I don't have to care about it all the time.
Yeah.
And we don't have to talk about it all the time.
Right. Well, I think that people don't talk to each other. So like I've been doing like Uber and Lyft a lot lately, right? Just to kind of like supplement my income. And I'll tell you, like, I think everybody should do that because getting in a car with somebody and going 20, 30 minutes and having to drive, and you pretty much have to talk. I mean, some people just don't talk at all, but a lot of times people open up to me and I start having these conversations, and like, I feel like that's kind of lost in our society right now in terms of actual conversations with people, because there's so much stuff on social media that's so, you're hiding behind a computer. You say things that, you would never say to people in real life. And if people just sat down and talk, I feel like a lot of these issues would, get flushed out a little bit.
Yeah, but we've had enough conversation. There's enough conversation. People are talking about it. I don't care if it's on social media, in your car. There's enough conversation about it. What people are missing is that while you're having this conversation, the powers that be are making you have these conversations so they can continue to make dollars off of you.
Right. So you want to be the person making the dollars.
Well, if I have to be one or the other, I'm
That's
going
true.
But if I can't be the one making the dollars, I'm not going to be forced to be the other one either.
Right.
When you sit around and you bitch about what you saw on MSNBC, you saw on Fox News, you saw and so on and so on and so on, you forget that the people who run those stations, they put
they're
that
in
shit.
Yeah, they're in the business of making money.
Business.
They're not in the business of telling the news. They don't care. They want to. They're going to promote the most.
And that's exactly right. Yeah. And that's exactly right. So enough conversation. Worry about yourself. Get your shit together.
Be a grown man or woman.
Get your shit together, because you're not going to. If you look at the plight of the black man, we've already been leapfrogged several times within the last 5 to 10 years. Now you have women have leapfrogged over the black man. Now you have gay people have leaped over the black man. The LGBTQ community as a whole have leapfrogged.
You said that right. Good job.
So has leapfrogged over and not to say I want any other minority group to have less. But we've had this conversation about how black men are treating this country forever. Nothing is going to dramatically change. You'll get a little bit more because they have to give you a little bit more to keep you quiet. But we will never, ever get to what we think or what we feel we should be. And to prove it to you, they will allow other minority groups to leap over you every single time. And you've seen 2 or 3 of these groups do that within the last 5, 10 years.
Huh. That was deep.
While we stay
smart
running the
stuff.
place.
What's that?
While we stay running the place, arguing and bitching and fussing and fighting about the same thing.
You're right. I mean, the arguing and the bitching is definitely needs to go away. But
where's Black Lives Matter now?
Haven't heard about them recently.
All right, so let's move on.
Okay. Well, on that, trying to get back into the comedy here, like, it got so serious all of a sudden. Like,
I'm sorry.
No. It was like, it was fascinating too. We need to talk off air too, because that's when I do want to pick your brain a little bit more. But you do a joke about holiday dinners, about how you like to have your white friends over for Thanksgiving.
Yeah, man. You guys do it right. I just show up. I honest to God, man, I can't make this shit up.
Oh, that's right. No, I'm sorry. It's not that you like to go to the white people's house because you don't have to bring anything, and like they don't ask you to bring anything.
You guys don't put us. Black people put you to work. All right, black people put you to work. My mama, my grandmother, his mama, and they gonna put you to work. Everybody's got to do something.
Okay.
Even the kids. Everybody. No one shows up and eats without fucking putting some sweat in on this.
Yeah.
The bad thing is no one cooks anything beforehand. So you got 4 people trying to fight over one stove.
Around, yeah.
And cook shit.
That's true though. Like, yeah, I noticed that. Well, actually, my mom and my sister kind of handle a lot of that stuff if I go over for Thanksgiving. But yeah, I'll just maybe I'll show up with a bottle of wine or something. But
that's right. And that's right. And then you guys end soon too. I almost think white families don't like each other. You guys.
Okay, it's been 2 hours. Hope see you later.
Well, and that same person who cooked everything now can fucking clean all this shit up because everybody's going home. While black people, nope. Now we got to spend another 6 hours together after we've already spent For some reason, I had to watch you cook and dress the turkey, eat the turkey with you, and now I must stay with you for another 6 hours. And that's how we do it, man.
Oh, can you tell me about these? You talked a little bit about gangs. These gangs that hang out in front of supermarkets.
The Girl Scouts?
Yeah.
Man, fuck them bitches, man. I can't stand. I hate Girl Scouts, man. Can't stand.
But it is like kind of like a gang.
They are pushing shitty ass cookies on you.
Yeah.
Dude, there should be a cop posted up out of every Walmart when it comes cookie time, fucking just chasing those kids out the park. I want Girl Scouts chased out the park like they chase skateboarders out the fucking park.
Yeah, because do they have a permit and those kinds of, or at least maybe they get permission from them.
I don't even know why they're out there. I don't know why they're out there. You can get these cookies all year long. You don't even have to wait for them to come out.
Can you really, online or something?
Yeah, you can go. Yes, we have this thing called the internet.
Yeah.
I don't know. Where's this podcast going up on? Yes, you can.
No, I guess I never thought of like ordering Girl Scout cookies on the internet. I mean, I guess I'm not a big Girl Scout cookie fan anyway.
They suck.
But you talk about in your bit, you talk about like, I could just go into the store and get Oreos for like $2.
I'm a Republican, man.
Okay.
All right. I am a fiscal conservative. All right.
That's rare though. An actual fiscal conservative.
So I'm getting these Oreos if I'm buying cookies, 2 for $5.
Yeah. There you go.
I like Oreos.
Or you get one $5 thing from the Girl Scouts. Like
$6, man.
$6 now? Is that what
$6? And Rebecca, you're chubbier than you were last year, and there's no more patches on your uniform. What are you doing? Where's the money? Where's the money going?
It's the pimp. What did you call it? The mom that's like pushing it?
Cookie pimps.
Cookie pimp.
In the back, cookie pimps. I just want to come out one day, just kick the leg from on one of them tables, man.
Oh, that is great.
Sometimes I say that part of the joke and people laugh, and then sometimes people go, "Oh, okay."
No, I know. That's like when I saw you. Like I was laughing really hard, but I looked at some people. Some people were like kind of like appalled at some of your jokes. Like I like this guy. Like I think he's funny. Like but then they laugh at like your safer jokes, and I was like, well, the funnier one, like I guess because I've seen a lot of stand up.
Yeah.
So it takes a lot for me. Like I've seen all the stuff that if it's just kind of like the middle of the road kind of safe stuff, I'm like, okay, I've seen this so much. But your stuff was like a little more edgy. Or I don't even know if that's the right word, but just
I want myself to be original. That's
it was original.
I want people to walk away saying that was original. That was something that made me think about something. Even if you don't always have to have a belly gut, because every joke isn't going to make you fall out of your chair. It's not meant to make you fall out of your chair. But I want you to think about something, and I'm going to say some things that you do. You can make them faces all you want while you're sitting there. You don't buy them fucking cookies either when you leave the grocery store. So because if you did, they wouldn't be out there for fucking 6 days in a row. They'd be sold out in day 2.
Exactly.
So fuck off.
So I think we talked about this a little bit before about crazy girls, but exciting women versus boring women. You prefer a more boring woman.
My wife is very boring.
She gonna listen to this?
She might, but she might. She goes up and introduces herself as boring after a show, if I tell that joke. Because I don't always tell it.
But why is boring better? Explain this, because I totally understand this.
Oh man, because exciting is fucking crazy, man. You don't know what you're gonna get with exciting. You end up with chlamydia or
getting stabbed at night, or
it's crazy or exciting will stab your mother.
Yeah,
so
right. So it's boring is safe, and you're not going to get stabbed in your sleep.
Boring's good.
Routine is good.
Hey man, there's dinner cooking every fucking night at my house, and I don't know how it got there, but boring knows how it got there.
The laundry's done.
Boring knows how that shit. Boring is doing yard work right now. Yeah. I'm here doing this podcast.
Love it.
So yeah, man. Boring.
Okay, and then your last. This was my favorite, and I think this actually. Did you open with this, or it was at the beginning? But you did the 4 rules that you have for homeless people. I don't know how much you want to get into this, but it was like that was like the craziest thing, because you got up there and you started making fun of homeless people, and I was laughing so hard because I'm like, you can't do that. You're not supposed to make fun of homeless people, but I was laughing really hard. So because everything you said was true.
Only place I'd get kind of the room goes quiet somewhat, and to get a few people laughing is L.A. I do that joke.
Oh. It's bad there.
They really like their homeless people out there. But
really?
They treat them like their pets. They really like homeless people out there.
Like their pets.
But I tell them I'm from fucking Detroit, and we don't like homeless people. So this is my point of view on it.
Yeah. It's crazy though, because like I grew up in Seattle, and I mean there was always homeless people, but now they have full on like in camps with like tents and just
got a whole neighborhood.
It's crazy. They just let them do it, and And there's a lot of them. I mean, not all of them, but I would say a majority are using heroin. Like, it's crazy.
It used to be a time where they chased the bum off the corner.
Yeah.
You couldn't be here. They are fucking clocking in and clocking out.
Right.
All right. Moving around this quadrant of corners.
Yeah.
You know, Bob works this one this day. Fucking Judy's over here this day. You know, Roscoe's over here on this day. Then we're going to alternate next week.
Yeah.
You on for 3 days. You off on 2. You know, they got a whole schedule, man. This is a job they are working.
Right.
If it wasn't, they wouldn't keep coming back. They are making real get a job.
Yeah, there's some of those people that are not even really homeless. Like you said, they're like the fake homeless that are like just out there getting them, and it's tax free, and they probably make more than I do. Like,
look, bro. Look, let me tell you something. Nah, I'm not a cold-hearted person. There might be some people out there who are out there because they have some mental issues and things
absolutely.
like that. Though I do believe we throw mental illness out there, you know, too much, like you throw "thank you for your service" out there too much. Some of these motherfuckers are just out there, like I talk about one couple hanging out, killing my property value at the McDonald's.
Right.
2 young, able-bodied Caucasian people, guy, girl, holding one fucking sign between the 2 of them.
Yeah.
What kind of stupid shit is that? Make 2 signs, split up, cover the whole parking lot. What are you doing? This is dumb.
Exactly.
It's dumb.
Oh, I love it. That's a great bit. So yeah, the full thing is on YouTube. Then I always like to end with a charity that people are passionate about. And you said that there was a AZ Bike Week. They do some sort of charity. Can you tell me more about that? Or
yeah, man, AZ Bike Week charity. We got involved with it. My wife and I got involved with it. Wow, seems like forever ago, but we got involved with it because of some very good friends of ours who run it. Cager and Pink, Kevin Road. They run it, and they have some great people. What they do a lot of different charities for the community. So whether you are children who are orphans around Christmas time, they go out and they just buy a ton of presents and make sure that as many kids as they possibly can get those presents on that wish list. They'll take the wish list from kids.
That's awesome.
And you know, you got some kids that, because you're a kid, you know, I want an iPad. Well, they can't get you an iPad.
Yeah, that's a little bit of a tall order there.
No, but they're going to try to knock out as much of that stuff on every kid's wish list. They just did a bottled water drive here not too long ago. So they're constantly raising money and doing different things throughout the year. They do. Now I'm drawing a blank for AZ Bike Week. They're out there selling tickets for different events out there as well. So they work that as well to help raise money. So they do a lot of good things in there.
Okay, so people can Google that, or it's on Facebook.
Absolutely, Google it. You'll find their Facebook page as well, AZ Bike Week charity.
And that's so I didn't realize, because is that the same AZ Bike Week? They do all the concerts and stuff. So that's all for charity.
So it's separate. So you have AZ Bike Week, and that's what that is. But they are AZ Bike Week charities, and they partner with them.
Gotcha.
To help put on some of those things.
Very cool.
And then with partnering with them, whether it be with the silent auction, things of that nature, or the concerts, doing security at the concerts, they earn a portion of those dollars to put towards things.
That's very cool. So. Okay, Sidney. Well, you've shared a stage with big name comedians. You've done a podcast. You got a YouTube show. You've appeared on the greatest show ever, the Chuck Shoot podcast.
Absolutely, man. Thank you, man.
What's
this is awesome.
What's next for you? You got anything else planned? Besides the new podcast coming out, is there anything else? Any tour dates that you want to let people know about, or shows planned?
Yeah, if you go to my new branded website there, and it should
the website's working now.
It's not working with the new. It's not working. It's not working yet with the.
Because I went on it and then it was like your computer's been infected with a virus. I'm like, what the hell is this website?
That was my old website.
It was like a porn website or something.
That's my old job.
Okay,
that was the old job.
Yeah.
Big Dick Willie. That was that when you went on. told you not to use that URL. But the new website is going to be. And I wanted to rebrand it, redesign it, and it's going to be called Sidney Smith Creative. So that's going to be SIDNEY Smith, SMITH. Creative will be spelled CRE, the number 8 TIV.
Okay. I like how I had to spell it Smith too. Like, you got some bad spellers out there, so that's okay.
People I tell people my name is Bob at Starbucks. Okay, so people fuck up shit all the time. But I want the new website to be rebranded, new name, and everything to encompass everything that I'm doing. So the website's coming, dates are coming.
Awesome.
Some hitting the roads coming.
So in the meantime, we can follow you on Facebook. Are you on Instagram?
Instagram as well.
Twitter. I think you're on Twitter. Yeah.
I am on Twitter.
Okay.
But again, Sidney Smith Creative will be what you'll be able to follow me on and off.
Okay.
All that shit's going to change
Cool.
as well.
Awesome. Well, yeah. So check that out.
And you can check out Big Dick Willie too. And I'm
Check out my episodes, Chuck Shoot Podcast. I also do another podcast, the Chuck and Josh Podcast. We have like 50 episodes on there. So check those out. Sidney, so thank you so much for being on my show. I appreciate it.
Hey, Chuck, man, I appreciate it, man. Really appreciate it. Everybody, make sure you listen to this. Come out and see a show. And again, remember, just don't walk up to black guys, ask them to do shit. Have a conversation. Maybe buy a motherfucker Hennessy first or something.
Okay. All right. Thanks, buddy.
All right, buddy.